Scientists have only recently come to accept that there are such things as rogue or killer or freak waves in the sea. This was not the case until the last few decades. Additionally known as extreme storm waves, they are twice as big as the average surrounding waves, and their arrival is always unpredictable. Furthermore, they do not come from the direction of the prevailing wind or waves, but occur from quite a different direction at any time. Many reports of great storm waves describe them as walls of water that are often steep-sided and have abnormally deep troughs. Analysis and measurements are hardly done on this phenomenon, because it is a rare occurrence. 1. Draupner wave 1995. One of the most well-known and significant rogue waves ever recorded is the Draupner wave, also known as the New Year's wave. This wave was measured on January 1st, 1995, by an oil platform of Statoil, later called Equinor, at the North Sea, specifically the Draupner platform. The Draupner wave was the first proof of the existence of rogue waves, previously thought to be either a maritime myth or an extremely rare incident. It measured 25.6 meters, which was much bigger than the surrounding waves, which were about 12 meters at their highest. The platform had a laser sensor which provided accurate data on the wave's height and its characteristics. The platform suffered from minor damage due to this unexpected wave, but most importantly, it changed the scientific understanding of ocean wave dynamics. Rogue waves were previously ignored by most sailors as marine stories or incredibly unusual events until the Draupner wave appeared on the scene, and uncontested proof came afterward showing how often they happened in comparison with what people used to think, as the Draupner platform made them easy to measure. Following this awareness, rogue wave generators needed to reevaluate their models about wave formation aspects like constructive interference, ocean currents, and wind patterns, among other variables. The Draupner wave has since then laid down a foundation for studies on rogue waves, leading to further advancements in prediction and safety measures in oceanography as far as ship operations are concerned. It highlighted how there is a need for more knowledge about these potentially catastrophic natural phenomena, as they are a serious risk to vessels, offshore platforms, and coastal buildings across the globe. 2. USS Ramapo 1933. The USS Ramapo was a United States Navy oiler, known for navigating the highest sea wave ever recorded. On February 7, 1933, during the ship's voyage across the North Pacific Ocean from Manila, Philippines to San Francisco, California, the mariners saw a colossal wave. During the severe storm, the giant wave was encountered with an estimated height of 34 meters 112 feet. The USS Ramapo was a large-sized vessel that was 146 meters 478 feet in length and was able to continue its voyage despite the occurrence of the storm. Magnitude of the wave by measuring its height against the structure of the ship and using a technique called triangulation. Then, not many people believed that wave heights could reach such great heights and considered it a myth. The earliest and most reliable evidence for the existence of rogue waves or freak waves was obtained from the ship's officers, who kept detailed records of the encounter with the rogue wave. Up until the late 20th century, when modern wave measuring devices were invented, no other wave had its height measured more accurately than this, which was done by the crew members. Marine engineers and oceanographers have deeply investigated the USS Ramapo's encounter with the massive wave, which has led to the change of rogue waves' view from mere mariners' folklore to a genuine scientific concern. The event indicated that there was a necessity for better safety measures and constructive designs in the manufacturing of vessels against such destructive natural events. The unpredictable and dangerous nature of the oceans of the world was also brought into sharp focus by the incident of what the USS Ramapo endured as it did its job as a pioneering ship in the history of oceanography. 3. Louis Majesty 2010. On March 3, 2010, in the Mediterranean Sea, a series of rogue waves struck the cruise ship run by Louis Cruises, the Louis Majesty, causing a frightening sea accident. The ship, coming from Barcelona, Spain, and bound for Genoa, Italy, found exceptionally bad weather near Marseille, which is a French coast city. 3 successive waves struck Louis Majesty with such force that the ship's windows were broken in the bowship, and several public places were flooded with seawater. Each rogue wave was said to measure around 8 meters high, about 26 feet, which resulted in massive destruction as well as tragic fatality. The severity of the incident led to the loss of life for 2 passengers, who were respectively German and Italian, as a result of broken glasses, as well as the force of water. In addition, 14 other travelers were hurt in ways that demanded they seek medical attention, some more gravely than others. The event brought awareness to many people about rogue waves' potential dangers occurring in areas that are heavily traveled or those perceived as placid, like the Mediterranean. Louis Majesty was a new vessel fitted with high-tech navigation aids and safety mechanisms, and was launched in 1992 under the name Royal Majesty. Nevertheless, The encounter with rogue waves made it clear that not even the most sophisticated vessels are safe from these unpredictable acts of nature. Consequently, the ship had to be diverted to Barcelona for maintenance and a comprehensive investigation. The event suggested that further improvements could be made in ship designs, emergency response readiness, and the competence of maritime authorities in predicting and giving warnings on such unpredictable waves. 4. Norwegian Dawn 2005. In 2005, the Norwegian Dawn, a vessel that was being operated by the Norwegian Cruise Line, encountered a very large wave. This happened on 16 April, when it was off Georgia's coast on the Atlantic Ocean waters, as the ship was hit by a huge wave that left behind many individuals injured and caused massive destruction. The wave was around 21 meters 69 feet high, which hit the ship during rough sea conditions, taking both passengers and crew by surprise. The Norwegian Dawn had just concluded a one-week cruise of the Bahamas and Florida when the attack occurred. The power of the freak wave was such that it shattered windows on the ship's 9th and 10th floors, leading to massive flooding of many staterooms, as well as public spaces. Roughly shaken by the waves, and objects flying all over the cabin, passengers seemed to have thought that apocalypse was at hand. Nevertheless, just after this very incident, the crew demonstrated efficiency in their management practices through sealing off affected sections, thereby salvaging the life-saving ordeal that otherwise would have been fatal. Following this incident, the Norwegian Dawn made an unscheduled stop in Charleston, South Carolina, to assess the damage and perform necessary repairs. The cruise line promised that it would compensate its clients who suffered from the incident. That event made people realize that giant waves can hit any ship no matter how big or new it is. The rogue wave incident that occurred on the Norwegian Dawn became very famous because it increased interest in and knowledge of these types of waves among people involved in maritime activities. 5. Aleutian Ballad 2005. In 2005, the Aleutian Ballad, a fishing boat highly publicized in the television series Deadliest Catch, encountered a frightening rogue wave as it cruised the treacherous Bering Sea. This episode epitomized the sea's unpredictable and dangerous character, especially in places renowned for their severe climatic patterns and rough seas. The Aleutian Ballad's crew was fishing for crab when a rogue wave from a violent storm struck and hit their vessel with great might. It was so powerful that it made the boat nearly capsize from a very dangerous angle, throwing the crew as well as inflicting immense damage on board. Footage of this horrifying incident was captured on camera and later broadcasted, thus giving a visual demonstration of what crab fishermen go through in the Bering Sea. Despite the chaos and danger, the crew managed to stabilize the vessel and avoid capsizing. Their fast thinking and skillful handling were important in preventing a catastrophe. The incident with the rogue wave not only indicated the dangers crab fishermen face, but also showed how tough and brave those working in this dangerous field are. The rogue wave encounter was considered as one of the most memorable moments in Deadliest Catch, which resonated with the audience and highlighted the risks fishermen are exposed to. This stressed on the need for safety precautions and being ready while working under unsafe conditions. The incident involving Aleutian Ballad served as a sharp contrast, reflecting both the sea's unpredictability and the permanent watchfulness that is necessary for safe sailing. 6. Hanseatic 2001. During its voyage, while navigating the treacherous waters of the South Atlantic Ocean, the MS Hanseatic cruise ship from Germany faced a spirited rogue wave in the year 2001. It was on the way when the luxurious vessel, with facilities for comfort, as well as exploration of new places, found itself under attack by a huge mass of water that left behind significant destruction. The Hanseatic was hit by a huge rogue wave that stood about 30 meters. As a result of this shock, the windows in the bridge and the ship's control tower were broken due to the extreme force exerted by the wave. Because of this unexpected violent occurrence, not only did it lead to structural damage, but it also interfered with the navigation as well as communication gadgets of the vessel. The crew and passengers, although shaken, managed to remain calm and followed emergency protocols to ensure everyone's safety. The MS Hanseatic's crew had managed to stabilize the ship despite the massive destruction and went on with their journey. Preventing what could have been a wipeout, the vessel's ability to withstand the wave well as the crew's readiness were paramount at this juncture. The incident brought to the fore the unpredictability of giant waves and how essential strict safety guidelines in teaching to sailors are. In 2001, the MS Hanseatic event contributed more evidence to show that not only are they exceedingly rare, but rogue waves pose serious risks to shipping. This clearly showed that continuous studies and improvement in technology are very essential to be able to forecast and survive this powerful kind of natural event. 7. Esso Languedoc 1980. In maritime history, One of the most notable occasions of encountering a rogue wave is illustrated by the 1980 Esso Languedoc case. An oil tanker in operation by Esso Corporation at present with the name ExxonMobil, Esso Languedoc was a very large crude carrier VLCC. The ship met astoundingly gigantic and vigorous rogue waves while traversing through the Bay of Biscay around France's coast on the 20th day of February 1980. The Esso Languedoc, causing wave, reached a height of 25 meters 82 feet, a remarkably wide scope that could have posed substantial peril to the ship's security and stability. The people who were on board observed how mighty the wave was, that it swept over the ship's deck so forcefully. This incident with such a big rogue wave displayed how weak even sizable ships can be when confronted by nature on oceans. Luckily, the Esso Languedoc survived the rogue wave, which was very big, without turning over or getting major damage. This made it necessary for more research on such waves and their possible effects on sea transport. Through that, it was discovered just how crucial it is for ships passing through uncertain sea states to have better safety precautions and emergency laws as well. The Esso Languedoc incident ranks as a very important case study in attempting to understand the behavior and rogue wave characteristics. This incident should be remembered because of the various difficulties encountered by mariners. 8. Caledonian Star 2001. In 2001, while cruising through the South Atlantic Ocean, Caledonian Star, a ship belonging to Clipper Group Ltd., was struck by a rogue wave that was quite frightening. The ship, which was famous for traveling to tough and faraway places, was hit by a wave believed to be approximately 30 meters 98 feet high in a very severe storm. The Caledonian Star was hit by a massive rogue wave which resulted in several damage on the ship. This hit made the windows break and led to flooding in some parts, such as crew quarters and public spaces within the vessel. The suddenness and violence of this wave were enough to scare both passengers and sailors. However, nobody sustained serious injuries from it among the estimated 100 passengers crew on board. Despite the damages, the Caledonian Star crew acted quickly enough to stabilize it and made sure to protect all lives on the vessel. They put emergency plans into action, where professionalism plus readiness of the team played a vital role when dealing with the aftereffects of unexpected waves. Thus, the ship moved on after the storm ended, although having clear signs that it had met nature's rage. 9. Queen Elizabeth II 1995. The RMS Queen Elizabeth II QE2, which is recognized for its luxury and grace, experienced a colossal rogue wave during an eastbound crossing in the North Atlantic Ocean on 31 August 1995. A powerful storm system hit the ship when it was near the center, generating exceptionally large waves. Onboard eyewitnesses, both the crew and passengers, saw a wave of astounding height of about 29 meters 95 feet. Consider the QE2 as a British maritime emblem and a symbol of luxury voyaging. Although she could withstand all sorts of stormy conditions, she still faced severe challenges from this colossal wave. This colossal rogue elevated the vulnerability of even supremely big and sophisticated vessels to marine environmental conditions. Although the wave was big, it did not prevent QE2 from continuing the journey, proving both its strong structure and the ability of its crew. This particular event in 1995 concerning QE2 only served as a reminder that predicting rogue waves remained an obstacle because they are unforeseen events causing danger to ship-based activity. Helping researchers and naval architects better understand the dynamics of this rare but formidable ocean phenomenon is a valuable contribution to the study of rogue waves. QE2's encounter with the rogue wave remains one of the major events in maritime history, showing how powerful nature is. 10. MS Munchen 1978. German-made cargo ship MS Munchen went missing in December 1978. It is believed that it got lost due to a rogue wave somewhere in the North Atlantic Ocean. Hamburg Sud operated this particular vessel, which was in transit from Bremerhaven in Germany to Savannah, Georgia, carrying various cargo. It had only been newly constructed, being assembled in 1972, and it was fitted out with up-to-date navigation aids and safety apparatus. It was on December 12, 1978, when MS Munchen issued a distress signal to the world, outlining harsh weather situations it was going through, such as heavy windstorms and big waves, which were a threat to the passengers' safety and lives. Unfortunately enough, all attempts by nearby airplanes and ships to find or help the ship were made, but the MS Munchen disappeared into thin air. After the initial signal, no further emergency calls came in, and neither any other remains nor floating parts of the ship confirmed where the ship disappeared. Many people think that the MS Munchen sank because of a rogue wave. The reason for this is that the ship did not send any distress signal after its first one, but went down all of a sudden. Rogue waves do not occur often, yet they can be found everywhere in the sea, and they are unpredictable and have the potential to cause terrible harm to ships. The theory is that the ship MS Munchen capsized and sank quickly following its overturning by a rogue wave of great height. It is not clear how the ship disappeared. The sinking of MS Munchen is a sad reality of the perilous situations caused by the sea's natural forces, hence motivating the improved maritime technology and safety measures for better comprehension and control of the same risks. 11. Bremen, 2001. Back in 2001, there was a cruise ship called Bremen. Bremen was one of the high-profile ships that showed just how powerful rogue waves are while sailing across the Southern Ocean. And it was under the management of Hapag-Lloyd Cruises when on an expedition to Antarctica that it came across a wave of epic proportions. Upon hitting this beastly wave measuring approximately 30 meters 98 feet in height, Bremen found himself dealing with violent thrusts which led to severe destruction as well as posed a threat to both the passengers and crew members' safety. The Bremen was hit by a rogue wave during a severe storm, shattering windows on the bridge and engulfing portions of the ship in water. As a result of this collision, the ship lost power for some time and its navigation systems were gravely affected. Passengers and crew members were thrown into chaos as the vessel battled with the elements. Fortunately, due to the quick actions of the crew and the ship's robust design, a full-scale disaster was averted. Emergency procedures were swiftly implemented to ensure the safety of all aboard. Although it went through an ordeal, the Bremen was able to get back under control and carry on sailing, returning to the harbor unharmed. Therefore, there is a need to remember that safety measures are significant before taking any actions related to maritime transport in regions known for harsh environments. The ability to manage the crisis which enabled the workforce to pull through demonstrates how devoted and professional mariners have to be, since there are times when no one knows what they might expect from the tidal forces of this world's water masses. 12. Freak wave off South Africa, 2007. In South Africa's coastal vicinity, in 2007, several ships faced a terrible display of the ocean as a result of rogue waves. This occurrence caused substantial harm to boats in the region, as it was beyond forecast. The rogue waves were higher than 20 meters 65 feet and landed in Durban when the weather was terrible. The waves destroyed the ships that crossed their paths. According to eyewitnesses, ships were being thrown against each other or the rocks, while others suffered serious damage to their hulls and other upper sections. Those who were in those vessels attempted to sail their way through the stormy waters. Rogue waves were the subject of an event that demonstrated how they can appear without warning and be much larger than the waves around them. Improvements have been made by nautical experts in terms of comprehending these events, however. This continues to demonstrate the challenge of anticipating and preventing rogue wave-related dangers. 13. Oceanos, 1991. The Oceanos, a cruise ship owned by the Greeks, attracted worldwide recognition in August 1991 because of a sensational and eventually triumphant rescue operation off the coast of South Africa. The vessel was carrying about 571 passengers and crew who were cruising to Indian Ocean ports under Epirautic Line's ownership when it ran into bad weather. The Oceanos started to take on water on the evening of August 3, 1991, while sailing from East London to Durban due to damage sustained by its hull. The damage was subsequently revealed to have resulted from rough sea conditions and carelessness in shutting a bulkhead door. Initially, the team thought of dealing with the issue without letting passengers be aware. The passengers panicked when the flooding intensified and the ship started tilting. In due time, the distress signals were sent and South Africa's aerial and maritime forces and ships of the available vessel did their utmost to save the victims. It is worth mentioning that the South African helicopter pilot Vito Alvarenga took part in this rescue operation by using his expertise in flying over disaster-stricken areas to rescue people from tipped vessels. Several hours passed by and everyone on board was successfully rescued from the Oceanos with bravery as well as professionalism at its optimum level. The ship sank on 4 August 1991 near the Transkei region coast of South Africa by about 5 kilometers 3.1 miles. Everyone on board was rescued without any fatalities. This was considered a clear demonstration of the success of well-coordinated sea rescue operations and bravery on the part of those who engaged in them. 14. Nan, Kahului Harbor, Hawaii, 2011. In 2011, significant damage was experienced at Kahului Harbor in Hawaii due to a mighty rogue wave that was generated from the ruinous tsunami that was born out of the Tohoku earthquake off the coast of Japan. The quake was one of the most powerful ever recorded. It thus triggered an enormous tsunami that swept through the Pacific Ocean, causing massive havoc and casualties in Japan while reaching Hawaii and eastern parts of the United States. Some Hawaiian ports were hit by the tsunami waves, and Kahului Harbor was one of them. The tsunami, with much powerful waves larger than usual, hit the Hawaiian Islands several hours after the earthquake, causing damage to harbors, boats, and coastal infrastructure. As Kahului Harbor is a crucial bund for Maui's maritime activities and commerce, it experienced various levels of damage, such as torn boats from their moorings, damaged docks, or waterfront infrastructure. It also stressed the importance of readiness for tsunamis and early warning systems in coastal communities, stressing that there was a need for preparedness and resilience against natural disasters. 15. Sydney-Hobart Yacht Race 1998. The 1998 Sydney to Hobart Yacht Race is remembered as one of the toughest and saddest events in the history of offshore yacht racing. It became one of the most unpredictable and unsafe examples of the weather conditions, which can be experienced in the Southern Ocean. The race usually starts from Sydney Harbour on Boxing Day, December 26th, and finishes at the city of Hobart in Tasmania. In 1998, fierce winds and towering waves were created over the race route by a deep low-pressure system off Australia's southeast coast. As yachts set out to go southwards, they found themselves in rapidly worsening weather conditions. Sea waves were extremely dangerous as they reached 80 feet 24 meters and storm winds were exceeding 70 knots. During the race, rogue waves were striking many yachts, resulting in catastrophic outcomes. Unfortunately, 6 sailors perished after some boats were turned upside down. This incident led to one of the greatest searches and rescues ever undertaken in Australia, which saw aircraft and ships sent out to assist troubled ships and save those who were in the sea. The 1998 Sydney to Hobart Yacht Race events underscored the danger there is in big water sailing, especially if the Southern Ocean that provides such tough conditions is concerned. They evoked a lot of discussion and investigation around safety measures, preparedness for emergencies, and appropriateness of boats and gear in extreme climatic conditions. Numerous safety improvements and protocols have been implemented by the race organizers, sailors, and the broader maritime community to mitigate risks and enhance participants' safety in future races. Even in the wake of this disaster, the Sydney to Hobart Yacht Race still ranks amongst the most famous and challenging open water sailing contests globally. This shows the resilience and bravery of sailors who seek glory as well as enjoyment under dangerous conditions, such as those experienced at sea today. 16. Tremendous waves in the North Sea 2006. In 2006, there were powerful waves in the North Sea when there was a severe storm on the coastlines of so many European countries such as the Netherlands, Belgium, and the United Kingdom. This storm came about because a very strong low-pressure system with its attendant high winds was sweeping over this area, creating abnormally huge waves. These waves that the North Sea faced in such a storm were very massive and also very fierce. It was reported that few waves exceeded the heights of 20 meters 65 feet, hence putting a lot of risk on coastal communities, marine infrastructure, and sea traffic. This brought forth extensive flooding across the beaches, erosion along the shorelines, as well as destruction of structures and sea defenses. Not only did the large waves in the North Sea impact extensively on land right away, but also caused a lot of problems for boats, oil platforms, and other operations in the sea. Because the sea was rough, it became hazardous to navigate through ships and other marine structures like oil rigs during the storm. The high level of the waves was a pointer to the problems that boats go through, underlining the necessity for strong safety measures and navigation skills in bad weather like this. 17. MS Rhapsody 2010. In 2010, the cruise ship MS Rhapsody, operated by Louis Cruise Lines, was almost drowned in the Mediterranean by a gigantic wave. The event took place in the season of heavy rains that had led to the development of great waves in that region. A large, sudden wave hit the MS Rhapsody ship and caused immense destruction aboard the vessel. Eyewitnesses recall that the wave was higher than the cruise ship itself, in addition to striking its floors and breaking glass windows. There were also injuries inflicted upon guests, as well as workers who had no time to brace themselves against such great pressure of liquid. The crew promptly put in place emergency measures to save the ship and safeguard all aboard during the emergency. Even though the crew was faced with a chaotic situation arising from a freak wave on the high seas, it was their training coupled with their professionalism that greatly helped them during the aftermath of such an event, especially in treating some of the injured people. The MS Rhapsody incident reminds us of how rogue waves come out of nowhere and can therefore threaten ships on the sea without warning, especially when there is a storm over a wide ocean area. 18. MV Delos 1984. The MV Delos was once a famous ship that performed various functions such as a passenger carrier and a troop carrier during World War II before being used by the Germans as a floating book market through Good Books for All. It was in 1984, working in line with its purpose of being a floating bookshop, that this vessel encountered a horrible incident caused by huge waves from around the Indian Ocean. The MV Doulos was navigating through the Indian Ocean at the time of the accident because this area is well known for having weather that sometimes changes very quickly, and high waves often hit vessels. The superstructure of the ship was damaged after it was struck by a huge rogue wave, which also meant that it posed danger to its occupants. The crew members and the passengers were able to avoid any major injuries and casualties because experienced members took swift action to provide ship stabilization and safety for everyone. This incident demonstrated the perilousness of rogue waves to ships such as the MV Doulos, which are dangerous when least expected in oceanic expanses and thus pose challenges even to the most sophisticated and carefully maintained vessels operating there. Despite everything, the MV Doulos carried on with its work as a floating bookshop for a long time. It traversed many ports around the globe to reach out to underprivileged communities by providing books and educational materials. It has a great impact on promoting literacy and education not only in the world but also in many nations. 19. Heli-deck footage 2001. A video clip was recorded in 2001 from a heli-deck of a North Sea oil platform, which shows how this oil platform encountered a rogue wave while it was undergoing severe storms. The video, which went viral, clearly illustrated the magnitude and unpredictability associated with rogue waves in the maritime environment. The heli-deck of the oil rig can be seen being swallowed by a towering wave in the video, the latter washing over the platform with enormous strength. This wave hit so hard that it covered the heli-deck with more water than air in it for some time, and even waterlogged some parts around, thus depicting how severe rogue waves could get when it comes to injuring sea-based constructions. Offshore oil and gas operations are marked by extreme conditions that workers and installations face, which pose significant risks due to unpredictable weather and oceanic events. This has reminded us about the critical nature of strong safety precautions, as well as emergency preparedness and improvement in prediction methods as means of reducing their impact on people or buildings in remote, difficult nautical surroundings. The heli-deck footage from 2001 was a blunt reminder of the risks associated with offshore operations, which brought about lasting endeavors aiming to improve safety standards and operational procedures in the oil and gas sector. It played a part in furthering the understanding of freak waves, leading to additional studies on how they come about and act, and ways of preventing them so they do not affect human life or property at sea. 20. Extreme waves in the South Atlantic 2020. During the year 2020, there was a shocking event in the Southern Atlantic Ocean in which a research buoy detected an unusual wave event of a magnitude that was never seen before. It was an extreme rogue wave. This device captured an image of over 23 meters 75 feet tall waves using devices specialized in monitoring oceanic conditions, as well as wave infusion. Such an observation enabled scholars to understand more about these sudden and towering rogue waves in the open sea. For years, marine experts have been fascinated by the phenomenon called rogue waves, also known as freak waves, which can lead to great harm on ships and oil rigs. This was demonstrated clearly when an extremely large wave occurred in the South Atlantic in 2020, stressing how mighty and unforeseeable they are, thus representing danger for shipping navigation security activities. The data gathered will contribute towards an ongoing study on rogue waves with particular interest in identifying their causative mechanisms and ways of forecasting them, as well as for their management. Certainly, this is one key area where improvement of shipping safety standards can be made, seeing as many of them are at risk from such rare but potential events. The massive wave that was measured in the South Atlantic in 2020 acts as a stark reminder of the oceanic forces and why, therefore, it is essential to promote scientific research to protect lives and properties from the capricious hands of nature.